Hey there, therapists. Are you ready to reconnect with your joy?
We are so honored to have you here today to be joining us. This training was created because of what we've been seeing and hearing. We've gotten so many emails, direct messages through the last few weeks. A lot of you have submitted poetry for our contest, just sharing where you're at. And today our goal is to stand alongside you, support you, and to shine a light on options for you to have deeper insight into what's going on. Also to give you strategies from multiple perspectives to help you heal holistically. And if you need more support, to give you options for that as well. I'm sorry, this camera, I got to try, but it's just so blurry.
If you're here today, we know that it's no accident. You are meant to be here. Even if there's a part of you that's really unsure whether this can get any better, even if you question whether you can really have a life and business and all the rest of what you want in the midst of the world today, everything that we're going to talk about today, you can have too. And we're going to really hold that space and that hope for you, even if you're in a place where you're not feeling so hopeful.
We aren't here to talk about self-care techniques and bubble baths, because that's not going to heal us individually or as a collective. We really feel that holistic healing is needed as a group of therapists. So we're going to be diving into here and now strategies and a way to change your system to heal and protect you in the future.
So are you ready to heal the system? If you are ready for short-term and long-term change, are you ready to heal the system that can take those therapists' bright light and healing capacity and crush it into ash?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. We're going to dive in. We packed a lot into today's presentation, including some nice moments of pause and reflection. So grab those journals, be ready to write down what takeaways and inspiration you get. And the training is being recorded. You'll be able to watch the recording. You can also take screenshots or pics with your phone that for whatever things that you want to make sure and take with you. We don't release the slides because people then literally will take it and then use it and sell it. And that's crazy. But anyway, so let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath. And another. And we're going to settle that beautiful body of yours. And remember, stick around to the end for the winner of our poetry contest. You will be getting a gift card. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, we know our camera's blurry. I'm going to see if Miranda can stop the video and start it again and see if that makes a difference. And
okay,
we'll get this fixed. All right. If you've been struggling to find joy lately, you might find yourself in one of these 4 categories. Let's talk about them. First, depressed Drew. Is it burnout, depression, something else, struggling to figure out why you feel or don't feel the way you do, right? So depressed Drew, that numbness, sadness, checked outedness, overwhelmed. Even if your body is moving at normal speed, you feel like you're moving through molasses. It feels sticky and frustrating, and you wish you could find the energy to shift. Maybe you've been here before. Maybe this is a first for you, but it's frustrating. And if you've been here before, you might notice that what helped you before to shift is not working now. And maybe medications, therapy, journaling just aren't quite shifting things. So does this sound like you? I already see that it's me on the slide.
Or maybe you're a little bit more like people pleaser Pat. You don't know exactly what happened, but no is the most seldom used word in your vocabulary lately. You're saying yes to more clients than feels good. You're wondering if it's even okay to say no or to refer people out right now. Your schedule is out of control and there is so little time for you and the tasks and to get anything done. And yet you keep saying yes to more things. You look at your bank account and you feel just completely confused and frustrated as to how you could be working so much and have so little there. And then you think about how much you're doing for free for a sliding scale and how you keep saying yes to clients with insurance plans that you meant to drop years ago. You keep telling yourself that things will get in balance soon once the crisis is over, but it feels like you're still living in crisis responder mode and it's not sustainable. Does that sound familiar?
Then we have escape hatch M, running at breakneck speed all the time, feeling like you need to get out of this situation, shake it off. Your attention's all over the place. The amount of lists and to do you've created are epic, but actually getting a project that matters done to completion can feel impossible lately. You might be wondering if you have ADD or you're feeling your symptoms of ADD more strongly. And you do what you can to settle yourself, but that often means zoning out or thinking about those escape hatches, right? So you try to make plans to take you out of this feeling, right? Vacations, moving, online courses, hashtag van life, changing niches, jobs. You're doing all the things all the time. But if you look around, your life and your work are in disarray. Your notes are behind, your spaces are overrun with clutter, and you just want to pack it all in and start over. If a part of you feels like a house fire or an office fire would be freeing and a relief, that would be a no-brainer that you are here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Safriana, that you feel personally attacked, but
do you relate to some or all of this? I love that you guys are sharing in the chat.
Yes.
Or do you feel more like frustrated Finn? People are absolutely horrible right now, and it's pissing you off. You are an advocate by nature, and there's so much good about that. But lately, you've been finding that you are not just fighting the good fight, that you're fighting the good fights is starting to take over your life and your life balance. And those silly fights or those like not good fights that you can normally like scroll past and not engage with, they are sucking you in, and you're spending so much time on things that don't move the needle and help anyone. You don't want to be around most people. And to be honest, it almost feels irritating to be around people who don't feel angry and frustrated the way that you do. You kind of look like, don't you see like what's happening? And oh man, it just feels frustrating. There's no time left for you. And every technology software introduced seems to spiral out of control, and nothing works the way it should. It feels like you've been 6 months in Mercury retrograde, if you believe in that. And again, we're not talking about like you're just in a place of like fighting the good fights, right, and doing that. We're talking about you can feel the shift that's happened. Now, does any of this describe what you're experiencing right now, or is it all of it? Are you bouncing between two or more of them?
So we want to take a poll. I see some of you already participate, but we're going to open up a poll and find out which one of these you are. And maybe you don't find yourself here. Maybe it's more like you're seeing this in your colleagues, but we want to see where everyone's landing. So we're going to open up the poll. Where is that? And the little bottom poll here. You can see in the bottom bar, we have polls.
So we've got depressed Drew. We've got none of the above. You can click more than one. So let's be clear about that. You have the option. If you bounce between a few of them or all of them, you can do that. Okay.
And if you're none of them, maybe it's what you're also seeing in your community.
Yeah. We're going to give this a few more seconds just in case until we see things popping down. If you are on a mobile phone, let us know if it works on mobile. We're not sure. Sometimes if you have an older version of Zoom and you haven't done those updates, silly technology, sometimes that can be really hard. Oh, but let's look at this. We've got 56% in that depressed Drew, 41% in people pleaser Platt, 64% in escape hatch M. We're seeing that a lot. And 46% in frustrated Finn.
Pretty
right across the thing, with a little more in a couple of the areas.
Yeah, a little more escape hatch M. All right, we're going to go ahead and end this poll.
Oh, there's our results.
There's your results if you want to see.
Sorry, we'll figure out how to do this better next time. Let me get that out. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about what this might be related to. The real story for many of us is we're in a trauma response cycle. That freeze is that depressed Drew. That fawn is that people pleaser Pat. That flight is that escape hatch in. And that fight is that frustrated Finn. Now, it may look more or less intense for you, but can you see the pattern and can you relate?
Oh, someone said, what about numb Nancy? Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Numb Nancy is often tied right into that depressed Drew. So yeah, often flowing
It's a
through
good
there.
question, though. We just want to say that what you may be struggling with is identifying how this dynamic is showing up in big and small ways in your professional life and personal life, that kind of intersection. And we also know that we are being a little loose in how we define and explore trauma today, but we think the possible risk outweigh the benefits of therapists really understanding what is happening and how to shift out of this dynamic. So if we take a quick look, let's just remind ourselves about what is trauma symptoms look like.
Right. So we have those, of course, the intrusive thoughts, memories, and attempts to avoid the stressing experience. But this other place, negative thoughts about yourself, other people, or the world, hopelessness about the future, memory problems, difficulty maintaining close relationships, not wanting to do that, feeling detached from family and friends. And it's really painful, I think, even as a parent, to feel yourself like detached from your kids, lack of interest in activities you once joined. No, it's hard to experience positive emotions, feeling emotionally numb, being easily startled or frightened, always being on guard for danger, or self-destructive behavior such as drinking too much, driving too fast, eating in ways that just don't feel good in your body, whether that's too much or too little, whatever that is, trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating, irritability, angry outbursts or aggressive behavior. And then, of course, that overwhelming guilt and shame. Oh, it's right there.
But how does this really apply to you? We want to pause and assess and really connect in for a moment and settle in with where you're at, because nobody knows this but you. So we're going to take a few moments, a few breaths, because how often do we as therapists really pause and turn inward, especially over these past couple years? And it's probably a lot less frequently than we ask our clients to do that. Just a quick disclaimer. This is about doing what's safe for you. We're not here to open up things. This is a very present oriented activity, but you know yourself. This isn't therapy. You're in charge. Your body and brain may touch on the past, but like I said, we're going to focus on the here and now of just getting grounded. We'll take a few breaths. If you are ready to do that, if you can't feel comfortable closing your eyes, we encourage that too.
Yeah. So a nice deep breath in, hold it at the top, and then slowly, like you're blowing on hot tea. And again, hold and blow. And one more. And again, with your eyes open or closed, just notice what life has been feeling like on a day-to-day basis. How you've been feeling in your mind, how you've been feeling in your body, and even how you've been feeling in your soul. And notice what healthy parts of yourself have been showing up to help you through this really difficult and trauma-filled time. And notice the patterns or parts that have been showing up to help that have been less helpful in the current environment. Maybe notice if there have been parts of yourself trying to get your attention that you've been pushing off, ignoring, smothering, drowning out. And notice what life would look like and feel like if you continued on this trajectory for the next 12 months, next December 2022. Notice how you'll feel and what your life will look like if you continue coping the way that you have. Notice where you feel that in your body and what emotions come up. Breathe that all in and out. Open your eyes, maybe make a few notes in your journal and come back with us.
How true do these trauma symptoms or reflections of them feel for you? Because as I'm seeing the chat, I want you to know you're normal. Some people are messaging us privately over everybody else, but you are not alone. And maybe you're not experiencing it, but aren't you seeing it in your peers and your colleagues or your employees? And how can we use this to help us navigate ourselves and our relationships with more kindness and compassion? We need to normalize why this is happening, why it's easy to overlook, and what you can do to shift out of this cycle as a professional. So I see people saying it's applicable to me, so much guilt and shame, trauma symptoms, depressed and heavy. They feel so present. Oh, Tanya,
you get to cry.
Yeah.
You get to cry. We're not going to read all these out.
Yeah.
But you deserve to say them. Especially if this is the first place that you've done that, keep typing them. You deserve to speak. You deserve to speak. You deserve to seen and be heard.
I feel chills. Yeah. So I appreciate all of you sharing. Please keep sharing, even though we're not going to read them out loud. So let's normalize and talk about why and what to do about it. I think, one of the reasons that things are getting triggered, yes, we went through a global pandemic with new big T and little t traumas in our lives. And then we also have a global pandemic that activated prior big T and little t traumas. I know this is very true for me and health anxiety. Woohoo! This is a fun one. So, it's activating old stuff as well. And then we also have burnout that's triggered or exacerbated by a pandemic with changes that fell out of our control. And then there's this need and demand for your services that is beyond your or any of our individual capacity. And let's be real, our capacity may have changed. Who we were a couple years ago is not who we are today. And what we can do has shifted. And then we also have life happening that did not stop in this pandemic. And it exposed us to non-pandemic related big T and little t traumas of grief, loss, systemic oppression, racism, sexism, and more.
And you may not have noticed because you were so focused on your client and they were the priority. And then, of course, when you were not at work, then it was your partner, your children, your pets, your community, your family, your friends, everybody over yourself. And we also have this broken system that normalizes, and this is like, I feel the anger rising up, that normalizes and rewards a lack of boundaries, overwork and burnout, and then blames you for the burnout. Blames you when you have a normal human response to having caseloads and schedules and these crazy dynamics that are not sustainable for any human at all. And then we have, of course, there was these exhaustion, burnout patterns, traumas, and symptoms that were happening well before the pandemic that left you less able to see what was going on. You were already numb and burnout maybe before the pandemic even started. And then you also, I don't know about you, but I get this whack-a-mole, well, is it an autoimmune condition? Is it my mental health? Am I not exercising enough? Do I need to change my medications? I'm trying to play with all of these things and not realizing that really at the core, it's the trauma. It doesn't matter how many moles I whack. And there's no time. You've been running at such a frantic pace, waiting for the crisis to resolve, and it just hasn't.
So why are two business coaches talking about the impact of trauma? We can't and won't ignore what we see happening in our profession. We are therapists first, and we have to address it. And we also have kind of a unique experience. We see how the last 2 years has affected ourselves. And we get a perspective into our coaching clients when we look at their task list, their profit and loss reports, their schedules, their hearts, their minds, and their goals. Things are changing. And let's just be honest. It's one thing to have insight that something needs to change, that you need to set boundaries. But when those changes are related to your clinical practice, your business plan, your paycheck, your livelihood, it gets kind of tricky really quickly. And while your therapist may be able to support to an extent, they are seldom business or career coaches. They can't help you reorganize your business from the ground up to support your mental health.
We're going to aim in on that one. We felt called to bring this to the surface now because we see how this unseen is hurting. As people are trying to get their relief, they're going from the frying pan to the fryer. They're leaving exploitative environments and joining online mental health tech employers and other people that exploit them further. They're leaving unhealthy positions, which is great, but then they're unconsciously recreating and replicating unhealthy practices in their own businesses. They're adding in a stream of income to escape the cycle, the escape hatch M, but exacerbating the issues because the core issues haven't been addressed and healed. They're enrolling in courses, asking to do more and add on when they truly need a plan that lead them to doing less. How many of you guys need less? And you're taking vacations to recharge, but not being open to making a change to the system that's not sustainable. It's like you leave your house on fire, you go on vacation, you're like, this is great. And you get back, your house is still on fire. Like,
we've been sprinting since March of 2020, and it isn't sustainable. We've been going through this unifying trauma, putting unrealistic expectations with no time for rest and recovery. We're so other focused that basic needs aren't getting met. We've been essential workers on the front lines of death, grief, fear, trauma, underpaid, underappreciated. Many of you had a plan that was unsustainable before the pandemic, and now with these past couple years, it definitely isn't. So how do we start to really make a change?
It all comes down to safety and security. Is there safety and security to make the changes that need to be made? Remember, those symptoms that you have, they're not there to make your life harder. They're there to be guideposts that change is needed, right? So let's go back to depressed Drew, that frozen place.
This is where, what do you do when you're this person, right? It's unfreezing, slowing down to speed up, focusing on settling your body, reminding your heart that it's safe to make change, creating safety so that you can, identifying your ideal client load. That again may have changed, and your fee needs to adjust so that you can see that client load without furthering your trauma symptoms, creating long periods of rest, trying to listen to messages and cues your body's giving you, and identify and compassionately respond to the daily triggers that come up for you.
Depressed Drew, we've renamed people for this fun little activity. They struggled with energy and depression throughout their whole life. And the low energy and depression would often fit as they're starting to make progress in their business. They'd work with their psychiatrist to adjust medications, go to yoga, do all the things. They were a great employer, but when things hit, it felt like there was no energy for anything else. Through coaching, we identified the pattern was to internalize issues, not talk about them, and that their body responded by slowing down, way down. So we started practicing looking for what was unsaid, going back to their realization, when I shut up, I shut down. They started talking it through and realized it was a trauma response and the direct impact it had, not just on their business and on their life overall, but they started to see the needle move in an impactful way once they let the stuff that was coming to the surface come out.
If you are that people pleaser, Pat, it's about unfawning and making it about you, which might feel very uncomfortable Focus on settling your body, reconnecting with intuition and wisdom, finding safety in the no, and realizing your clients need you to have boundaries, taking back your schedule and letting your home and work life separate.
So our people pleaser Pat, they came to us looking to launch a course, and it might seem like that was more the escape hatch in, but when we dove down deeper, it really was this people pleaser Pat. Even the course that they wanted to do was really because it was somebody else wanted to do the course and they wanted to make that happen. They were saying yes to more clients and sustainable. And it was this crazy experience of continually feeling overwhelmed and realizing, oh, there really isn't time for me to do even what I'm doing right now. And so they slowed down, they got some clarity, and they started to look at what was really needed. And the first step wasn't a course. It was to expand into a group practice in a way that made sense for them, that was virtual, niche with people that they loved, create their own sustainable caseload, learn how to set boundaries with other people and do all the things, get their caseload to a manageable place. And now they're circling back to that idea of online courses from a whole new perspective. And their retirement plan that they were struggling to get filled up is now maxing out.
And then escape hatch M's, unflight. Stick where you are, focus on the present, settle the body. Notice what you can change in the here and now. Identify how escapism is exacerbating the lack of safety, and create a dynamic in the here and now that really works for you while leaving space to plan for the future without the panic.
Our escape hatch M came to us thinking they would have to burn down their entire private practice, and they'd been in business for decades. And they really thought it wouldn't be possible, that it would take this huge change. And what they found was that it was actually much easier when they tapped in and got clarity on those caseloads and on how they felt about the insurance contracts they were on, started to drop those with confidence. And the process from insurance to private pay, seamless, no real drop in caseload. And when they went in to see their financial planner, who's been working with them for years and years, the planner saw it. I've always seen you running on the treadmill, even when your situation was good. Today, I see you leaning to the heart and not running away. This person could finally settle and be embodied in their money and in their business.
And for those frustrated fins out here, focus on fighting for you. Settle your body. Identify the fights and places that are not worth your time. This is about not giving up fighting. I see some of y'all talking about what's going on in your communities, and where you're taking a stand. Yes. And it's beautiful. And you need to preserve yourself, because this is a lifelong process. This is not, this in this moment, we've got to pace. So focus on the vision you have for your life in the here and now, and create space dedicated to fighting for your safety and your peace of mind daily, and identify what triggers feel like and how to resettle yourself, taking ample breaks, cocooning yourself before you go back out there again to fight the good fights and drop the ones that aren't working for you.
Yeah. Our frustrated fence was spending hours on the phone with insurance companies, managing their mistakes and ever-changing rules. They were frustrated, angry, and felt really trapped. And it made the smallest task feel huge. They decided to stop, reassess what they really wanted. And after working, for over a decade, kind of living life on the brink, they went back to the foundation, refocused, revisioned, and reconnected with themselves and their needs for the first time in years, which was incredibly powerful for this person from a marginalized community to be in this place of like, what do I really need? Even paying for a gym to take care of themselves felt like too much after all the conditioning they'd been through. They needed support and permission to create safety and security for themselves. Sound familiar? And now, they're creating that. They joined the gym, right? They changed the caseload, and now they're really creating not just a sustainable income, but a sustainable life.
So are you noticing patterns? Settling in your body, connecting to the vision, identifying a caseload that really works for you right now, identifying the fee and the insurance contracts that work, reconnecting with the numbers, getting to know your patterns, right? It's all about turning into knowing yourself now in this new phase.
And if you are that Findru pattern, right, where you're bouncing back and forth, is there really healing on the other side? Our Findru pattern was depressed and collapsed on the weekends, feeling stuck at a position that they knew they should have left way earlier. And then it was go, go, go during the week, that trying to flee from the burnout, then the depression on the weekends. And then everything else was just spinning out in their life, in their health, and their partner's health and all of that. And they finally came to us and said, this isn't sustainable. And now they have made a 180 change in their private practice. And they're still working on unlearning all that they were taught, all the systemic. Yes, we're still working on too. Through that process, but they have their life back.
And these aren't isolated examples. These are just some pictures of people we love. Some of you are in here. I've seen some of you pop in. We know that one of the hallmarks of burnout and trauma in our profession is we start to lose hope that things can get better. We start to think, this is it. This is as good as it gets. And it's just not true. We really believe, even in the midst of all of this, that you can find joy. You can create and make shifts in your business so that your life can light up again. And you can have some balance, is constant, back and forth of that. Who's ready to make some changes? We want to see in the chat. Do you have hope? Can we have hope again?
Yes. I love it. Okay.
So one of the things, what do we say in the pattern? It's getting to be in your body. And we just want to pause for a minute and see what we can do to feel better even now.
So we're going to introduce you or reintroduce you to a way to settle your body, which is the first step, no matter where you're at. We're going to start just by scanning and just noticing our body in this moment, right? 0 to 10, 0 being neutral, 10 being crawling out of your skin. Just notice where you're at that continuum, right? No judgment about it whatsoever. We're just going to kind of notice. And then we're going to start tapping. If you guys have done this, we're not going to worry about any cognitions or anything like that, but we're just going to start tapping on our eyebrows right up here. If you go on your forehead, you might notice it doesn't feel the same as when you get to that eyebrow. There's like this kind of little chargy, might feel sore. This might be a natural place that you might rub because it feels sort of good. And then we'll go around to the outside of that little eye socket here. You can see Kelly. We're just going to breathe. And again. And we're going to go under the eyes. Again, still on that little eye bone. I tell myself it's going to depuff my eyes, but it does not work. But it's kind of fun. Keep breathing. I like that I'm not seeing people typing. It means you're tapping. I like it a lot. And then we're going to do your mustache, right? Y'all got our little mustache. We're going to normalize body hair here today. Just have a little fun with it. And then we're going to do this little crease in your chin right there. Right? Just breathing that in.
I like to take 3 fingers. Some people do 2.
I think I'm doing 4 right now.
My fingers aren't that long.
And then we're going to do like under your collarbones. There's usually a spot that's kind of like sore. And so if you want to kind of explore a little bit and you kind of tap in different areas, and you'll notice that I'm tapping hard enough, but like there's a little bit. It shouldn't be, don't hurt yourself. Let's be clear. But you might notice that there's this is an insertion point for all those muscles in your shoulder. Like you guys carry all the weight emotionally, figuratively. We tend to do that. So we're just going to tap into that part. And again, kind of move around and explore your body and see what feels good. And if you notice you have an injury, right? You can cross it over, or there's little options. Ooh, when I crossed it over, like that feels very different to me in a good way. Woo. that was intense. Okay. So then we're going to do your sternum. Think that through. And you can do like Kelly's doing and tapping. And I like to use kind of my knuckles and do like a little circle. Anybody who's been a boot camper or a tapper will see that I'm often like reconnecting in this place, especially, and like allowing myself to kind of feel what I need to feel. This is a place where I tend to hold a lot of tension if I'm not careful with it. And then we're going to do this area over here. And you'll notice that we can do different ways depending on your mobility and what kind of feels good to you, right? So I'm just working on kind of those ribs. You can kind of go up and down and see where it feels good. Just tapping into your body, literally and figuratively, and noticing as we breathe. And as we continue to talk about this, Kelly's going to show you how you can even just do this on your hands, right? In these different areas. And I just want to say, without, notice we're keeping this really simple. We're not worrying about our thoughts. We're just tapping in and getting to know our body. We're just breathing. And this is something we can do in between sessions. This is something that you can do in the car, something you can do while you're going to the restroom in between clients. Mm-hmm. It's a very simple thing. So
sometimes I go straight to this. If I'm in a meeting, my hands will be under the table in my Zoom, and I will be tapping my hand like that.
Ah, you can't even tell. Secret. So you could be doing this in a session with a client. And this also could be a strategy you could teach to your clients if you found it was useful for you. So take a deep breath in and out. And then notice again where are you at from a 0 to a 10?
You may have noticed that emotions come up, and that's totally normal. It's just things are trapped inside. They have been, right? And we're releasing them out of our body.
And that's a good thing, right? So that means too, maybe that's one of those things might make you a little nervous to do it in between sessions. Although I might say it's okay. But you might do this in the evenings to give yourself a little bit of time until you kind of unpack it, and then it'll get easier to do anytime. So what are you noticing after those 3 minutes of tapping? Right? Share in the chat.
Energy is moving. Yes. More calm. Some people are just messaging us, so you may not see everything. I feel a little better. I mean, that's without doing, normally you do a setup and you do, you speak during this, but this is just something even from just being in your body, right? It opens us up. Once you're embodied, that is the foundation for healing and a joyful life. Like, we forget so quickly how just something like this can help us be present in all of our states that we are facing right now.
And even if I know some people saying like some anxiety came up or some other things, that tells you what your body's experiencing. And then it gives you a chance again to go in and take care of that. Right? Those guideposts are powerful.
These last few years have taught us how exposed and vulnerable we are as individuals and as a professional. And we need to create some protection in order to have safety to heal, to be protected from future impacts, because this is not the end. Y'all know this. Life is happening, and therapists continue to still be the worst paid master's degree. Insurance companies still continue to provide poverty level reimbursements in certain areas of the country. Tech companies are coming to exploit therapists and misleading them about caseload, salary, while also exploiting their clients' protected health information for profit. And we look at Facebook groups and we see people making like $3,000 gross income. That's before taxes and everything, working 20 to 50 hours a week. And it breaks our heart, even if you live in a place with low cost of living, because cost of living isn't that low and it's getting more. And we're seeing some of you struggle to afford health insurance while you have an overfull caseload, working multiple jobs to make ends meet, living with the idea that debt is the norm and the way it's got to be because the loans are so high for school, for the profession that we're in. And then there's this piecemealing of advice from online, groups, and you can't truly build a solid foundation out of tidbits. And in a context where it's not focused on your unique situation. And you need to figure out what works for you, your life, your cost of living, your intersectionalities, your dreams, your health conditions, medical care, student loans, like all of that we need to really take into consideration.
Now, there's a reason there are still doors protecting the pilot. While we don't want you removed from the world, you need that kind of protection from the elements. Many of you are hanging out in the elements feeling unsafe, unsure, and at risk, and wondering why you can't focus, get stuff done, or feel joy. If you're living your life in a state of nervous system dysregulation, that thing you talk to your clients about all the time, or with an activated amygdala, it can feel almost impossible to live a balanced, joyful life. The framework we were taught or not taught in grad school,
Right.
internships and agency placements doesn't work. We need systemic and systematic change in our profession, and it starts with you. Can I get an amen? Who's ready for a new healthy framework that allows you to heal and live a joyful life, crisis or pandemic or not?
Yes.
Build that solid foundation, the house, the roof that allows you to heal and be protected within it.
Can I just say, I love seeing y'all participate. This is how I'm able to stand this whole time because of the energy that you are showing up with. We want to talk about a 4M framework. We've never talked about this before in this way. And this will be recorded. So, don't worry, you can go back and watch the recording. This framework is based on how humans function, your unique life, your unique vision, and sound principles. We've been teaching therapists for 25 years collectively. My skin is starting to show that. All right. So step one, let's talk about my life, right? You need to look at your past and current traumas, how you cope, what makes you, your situation, your home and work life, your finances and debt, your relationships, your superpowers, your health, your family needs, all of these things. You've got to look at you because your life is the reality of your current situation, and it must be taken into account to figure out a plan of action to feel better. And we want to go through some common mistakes we make when people are looking at this part of the plan and trying to integrate with it.
Yeah. So the first one is that we're letting trauma run the show. We're not recognizing how trauma can lead to your past or current experiences, informing decisions that don't actually fit with what you want. So we got to commit to investing time to bringing the unseen into your awareness and ensuring that actions you're taking are serving you personally and professionally.
The other one is we're not willing to make changes to the big picture, and it keeps us in old habits and strategies. We got to lean into what our situation and context is now. Give yourself permission to make change. Put everything on the table. Everything that you were told, no, you can't do it that way, goes on the table.
Yeah. And that third one, you're spending hours on social media to build your professional network, to decompress, to check out, connect, get your needs met, or get information, even when it's not working. It's not moving the needle. So let's focus on creating quality relationships and connecting in communities that leave you feeling safe, connected, and informed. Stop doing what you already know isn't working for you.
Then we look after this, my life, we step into my vision, right? When we're looking at the my vision part, we're looking at your goals, both short-term, long-term, your purpose, your gifts, your passions, who you want to help, the impact you want to make, the legacy you want to leave, the lifestyle you want to lead as well. And having clarity in your unique vision helps you avoid ending up with a life or a practice with you when you're unfulfilled. Having a successful practice and a life you don't love, not worth it. Having a life you love, but having this part of your life, of your career that you just don't like, not worth it either. We want to have that integration.
So mistakes, you believe in that numbers game. You just add on the clients, the tasks, the projects, the goals, the streams of income without understanding what works, what's sustainable, or why you're doing the things that you do. Get clear on what goals you want to achieve and think in terms of the bigger picture of your life. Do less and focus your energy on tasks that lead you to the life and business you desire, especially those escape hatch ends.
And maybe you're panicking to just get the next thing done, and not really looking further ahead. I think that's something that the pandemic kind of robbed from us. How far can I really plan? I have no idea what the rules or what's going to change next from week to week. But you can set up for your future by identifying the skills you need to acquire and develop the foundation you want to put in place and the goals that prepare you for reaching that future vision. We need to start looking forward more.
And it might take a lot of things off your to-do list today. You give people a confusing first impression because you're all over the place. You're not sure on what you really want. And so you toss out every idea or niche when you're talking to people, every possible specialization. Let's pause and get real intentional about what you put in the world. Less is more. Don't distract people by shifting the focus of your services or niche every 4 weeks.
Right. You would never ask a client to start making changes without having some sort of vision about what they want. And a lot of the work is in figuring out what you want. We want you to stop doing that with your life, right? Of avoiding it. So my life, my vision, and then the third is my master plan. I saw someone say, I don't use the word plan. My master approach. You want to look at how are you going to get there? What are the results that you're wanting to see? What's the processes that are going to make things easy for you? How are you going to connect the dots?
A clear plan is what will allow you to make your vision a reality. When you understand not just what to do, but why you're doing it and how to do it effectively, you have the confidence to create your dream life and heal. And remember, this house is going to be based on your personality, your skill set, your learning style, your individual brain function and behavioral traits, all of it. So let's talk about the mistake. We overemphasize the final outcome or output and only scratch the surface of your process, thinking, and decisions. Dig down deep in the steps and learn how to make the process really work for you and effective for your style of thinking and organizing.
You might be asking the wrong people for feedback and input about your life, your business, your marketing, with their advice just leaving you more confused. So really think about who do you want in that inner circle? Who's the right person and who can you trust so you can get helpful insights rather than vague and conflicting opinions, right?
And of course, you're not considering that whole life. What are your physical needs? What's happening with your family? What's happening with your finances? And you create these plans that work really well if you were a single person working 20 hours a week, but it doesn't actually work with a trust fund, but it doesn't work in your real life. So we have to commit to exploring the big picture of your work and life and how you can create something that leaves time for you to heal and to reach your goals.
So each of these items is really powerful on their own, but when combined, that's where we find the joy. That's where we find the sustainability. That's that intersection. That's that place you want to live. But there's one more thing you must have. And that last item is
community. What we're getting here today, you're meant for connection. Safety is created by common mission, goals, and values, those clear boundaries and expectations, and realizing that you don't have to compete with those other amazing therapists around you. You can just stand out and stand on your own. When you're in a safe community, you have a safe harbor to rest and get recharged. You see yourself in others and you get this reciprocal support where you have this experience of oh my gosh, I can't do this. And even though Moran and Kelly said I could, and then you hear someone else who looks like yours in the same situation, it's I was just there 3 months or 6 months ago. I did this and you can do it too.
And sometimes you can support other people and that kind of gives back to you because you're saying the things you need for yourself. Just real quick, for those of you, I'm hoping you experience a little bit of a supercharge today, just by being here with people who are on the same page, who value their work, who have a shared common goal to do this, but to do it well and with health and more ease.
All of you in the span of, I know that you all have very busy lives.
Yes.
348 people right now in this moment have taken time out of their schedule to be here and be present together, not watch the recording, not say they're going to watch the recording and then never do the thing. There were 3,000 people that signed up for today. You are the 348 people who showed up and said, you know what? I'm going to create this time for myself because the way I'm feeling, it doesn't work and I'm over it.
All right. So all these pieces work together. They depend on each other. It's not enough to just have one. You can't take your vision out of this. You're going to lose the sense of joy. If you excommunicate your life, I can't think of another word, it's going to lose the joy. If there's no steps to get there, you meander and you never reach that place of joy. But when you surround this with community, it gets easier. I'm hoping you all feel buoyed by not being alone today.
No matter what your situation is, it fits into that farm framework. Whether you're the depressed Drew, the people pleaser Platt, the escape Hetch, M, the frustrated Finn, whether you are successful already in solo or group practice, whether you're struggling in solo or group practice, whether you're starting from scratch, needing to escape one of those environments, or whether you really are ready to go beyond the couch. And no matter what your goals, if you're just in the place of like, I just need joy, like that's it. If I could just be joy, that would be great. Or you're in a place of wanting that happy, successful, sustainable practice, or I want to be out of debt. I want to buy a house, or I want to launch an online course or pivot to a new niche or service. This process works. You can do this.
Do you believe that in your heart? If you can't believe that quite yet, that's okay. We're here. We hold space for that. But we've walked hundreds of therapists down this path and watched transformation for them financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We really do believe you can do this, that we don't have to stay stuck in a collective trauma response. So let's recap.
You examine how trauma is showing up in your life and your business. You learned what skills and strategies to apply based on what trauma and stress response you're experiencing. You experience deep breathing, guided imagery, and tapping as a way to settle yourself anytime and anywhere. And you learn the 4 key components on how to create a joyful life and business that provides future protection and safety, and how to supercharge that with some community. Now you can see how all this works together to help you create a sustainable life and business that helps others.
And we know it's been a hard year. If you have what you need and the motivation to put it all together in your life, that is awesome. But if you need some extra support and hand-holding right now, you are not alone. And that's what we want to talk about next. When our trauma gets stirred up, many of us need a solid object of support, very concrete steps, and a lot of emotional support.
So you have often these ideas and inspiration, you know where you need to go, but you don't always know what it takes to get where you want it to be. You want that joyful and balanced life. Maybe you want to do those streams of income or just have that full practice. And all you can see is this little part of what you might see in other people, but you don't see everything that comes underneath. Even for that joyful and balanced life, the boundaries work they've done, the visioning, how much meditation has been part of that, the personal budget that they've set, how they've made peace with money and personal finances.
The cursing moments.
Oh my gosh, all the cursing moments that they're working on their family. We call them FOOBs, their family of origin BS. That they've finally gotten hobbies in their life, like all these other things. Like we just look at this one piece and we don't see all the rest of it.
So we want to show you just a simple, non-emotional example by looking at a website. Is a website going to bring you more joy? Yes and no. I mean, a website by itself is not going to pull you out of trauma or burnout. But if your website brings you the clients that you want to work with, allows you to charge your full fee with confidence, allows you to tap into your soul work, it can give you confidence and permission to say no when you need to. It can be a great part of your plan to reconnecting with your joy. But we want to just keep this as a simple example. So what you do is you start out with getting some inspiration. You see someone's website. It's amazing. You get fixated. It must be right. You try to copy it, but it's still hard. And then when you try to reverse engineer things, you have zero visibility into the strategy, right? This beautiful website. These are some of our tappers and boot campers. Still, you had to identify the niche. You had to write avatar journals and what we call ATPs for messaging, keyword research with SEO infusion, and structuring the user experience so that people actually do call or click the buttons, and ensuring accessibility in the layout and design, and making changes informed by data and analytics. No one talks about that.
And they just say headshot done, picking out photos, deciding what your color palette's going to be.
Yeah, there's a lot. Things. And then let's also talk about the freak out moment where you're like, I don't want to be seen. People are going to judge me. And so then you get derailed and you don't even publish the darn thing. So, right.
So you decide to outsource your website to someone else. That way you don't have to figure it all out. But then you have to actually still find a person you can trust. You still have to write all the content. like no one else can do it for you. And if they are, it's like 10 or 20 grand. It's crazy. You still have to understand what the SEO is, integrate that into your content. You still have to pick all the pictures. You have to tell them what color, you have to tell them what you want it to look like and communicate that. And then even after the website is published, that doesn't magically end up in front of people. You have to have a marketing plan to make sure that it gets found on the internet and, or you are sharing it with other people, right? So then you decide,
let's get a coach.
They're going to help me be accountable through the process. They're going to help me through the steps.
But you still have to find someone you trust. How do you decide who really knows what you need, and how do you actually have time and energy to follow through with that? And you got to figure out, is this the one thing that's going to make a difference? And does this person even understand my neurodivergence, how my brain works? How does all of this fit into my life? And we've got 25 years of coaching experience between us, and we've tested a lot of these strategies. And I just want to say, for those of you who are like, why am I so overwhelmed or I'm stuck? Because we're not talking about what lies beneath the surface. And this is why we're bringing it up to say, this is part of that stuckness, is not understanding all the steps.
And when we're in trauma, then even someone tries to explain the steps and your body just goes, oh my God, that's too much.
No thanks.
Right. And we try to throw money at the problem. We try to do all these things, but until we get settled, it just doesn't work. Now, we haven't opened up coaching with Zinni to the general public for 3 years. We've had a waiting list that we couldn't touch for 3 years. We started training coaches a few years ago to be able to meet the demand, but we didn't actually ever plan to offer coaching to the general public. We were just trying to meet the needs of people in our community who were stuck or up-leveling or needed some more hand-holding and care, that they were had some of that trauma things pop up. And then the last 2 years happened. We see what's happening in the world. We see therapists are hurting. We see how the life and business issues are feeding off one another to create this dynamic that's damaging therapists, honestly, at a soul level. And so our question to you, is it time to bring some Zinni magic, coaching, handholding, and done with you love back into the world? What do you guys think? They're like, no, we don't want that. Oh, yes.
It's interesting as I'm thinking about this, is that our response to our trauma has been by being embodied. We've done a lot of shifting. Like we said, we did meditation before this, and we've done a lot of work to be embodied more and integrate more.
Rolfing and breath work.
It's a lot. And out of that has come creativity and ways of working that really do bring the joy. And I think we are sharing this with you because this has been our experience as well. We are alongside you in this. We understand. And so that's where some of this has come from. So that's why we want to share with you, TAP Plus. Look at all those beautiful faces. Look at those people. If you've gotten what you need from this training today, and you are good on your own, we want to thank you for being here. It's just awesome to have you show up. But if you need some hand holding and some direction, someone to come alongside you and do it with you, especially when you get stuck, we've got you covered. And if you need a coaching program to get you to the other side that is just concerned about profits, as it is about joy and holistic health, thank you for being here, because you're in the right place.
Yes. There is no other coaching program that's out there designed to take a therapist, regardless of your stage, through a customized roadmap for personal and professional success with individual coaching and community support. This is the only place. We teach the entire ecosystem of having a successful life and business as part of that one-to-one coaching program. Whether you're launching that solo or group practice, scaling up, moving beyond the core, streamlining and increasing your profits, getting organized and learning your strengths so you can finally feel like a confident and successful business owner and have time for life. That's what we do.
So TAP Plus is a 12-month one-to-one coaching experience. And when we say one-to-one coaching, that means you have a one-to-one coach who's going to help you create that master plan. You meet with your coach for 30 minutes over Zoom twice a month. They take you through the forum framework. Then they move into holding you accountable. So for those people pleaser Pats, they're going to hold you to that kind of boundaries and making sure those escape hatch M's don't run for the other escape hatch, and help motivate those depressed Drews. Oh yeah. Con just said, I love that slide with Ryan. Yeah.
But how do I know what to do between one-to-one coaching sessions? Because whether you're meeting with a coach an hour a week, an hour a month,
right,
or 10 hours a month, there's a lot. Some of us really need a lot of direction and handholding. Me. Your coach is going to customize your master plan with on-demand lessons that walk you step by step through your tasks, lessons that you can slow down, speed up. You can make them go double time. You can make them go half time. You can read them in a transcript. Like, we have all of the options for you. They have access to over 400 expert lessons, and they're going to help you discern what can be skipped, what to do now, what to do later, and what to never do at all. Everything you can imagine: finances, marketing, blogging, social media, group practice, personal development, anxiety management, clinical best practices, documentation, beyond the couch. It's not dripped out. Jump around however works best. And you can even do it on your mobile device on the go.
So that's what we love about this, is that in addition to the coach, you have on-demand trainings that fit into your life and schedule. So this is perfect for depressed Drews who are isolated and just need to get support anytime in the middle of the night when you have insomnia like me.
Over 93% of what you'll do. That's our guesstimate.
Yes. And we also provide fillable templates. No matter where you might be on the trauma or burnout continuum, you know how it can get overwhelming and you shut down for making progress because the steps aren't always clear. And so we made tools for those escape hatch M's to know if it's time to change the master plan or if it's a distraction. We literally have a tool that you plug in things and it tells you. We use our templates to help you save time for everything from designing a website, writing copy, blogging, raising your fees, having clinical conversations related to the business, training your staff, onboarding checklists for employees, and so much more.
So we're all about pressing the easy button. Who wants to press that easy button? Let's us make it easy.
I don't know why I just felt
direct actions broken up into small, doable steps with as much done for you as possible, with room to make tweaks for your unique situation and current needs. We are not your gurus, y'all. We want to give you everything we have and leave room for your insight and intuition, and for you to tap back in. Who needs to tap back in? Whether it's getting confident on the phone, referring people out who aren't a good fit, sliding, really sticking to that full fee, creating a plan for a raise with insurance, or dropping contracts that don't work for you. We've got you covered with all of that and more.
Don't you just love seeing all this movement? I love it because we also, so that way you can get a picture, like a full picture. These are some of our tappers and their websites. We provide a website template that's plug and play, so you can get your website started and tweak it later down the road. It's great for people pleasers Pats who are taking everyone's advice and trying to please everybody else. And we just keep it very simple. Or those frustrated Finns who are over it with technology, any of you in here, we make it really easy so that escape hatch M's, when you have that escape hatch, you can pivot that website with ease, but we get your current business and life taken care of first.
And this is for everybody, the Drew Patums. Let's work out the numbers and understand the big picture before you start making decisions. Solo group practice or pricing that new program, let's look at the big picture for the sweat equity, the financial investment, and make sure you understand what the bottom line will be even after taxes. We'll show you how to work smarter, not harder, and help retrain your nervous system around money and finances. Who needs their nervous system retrained? This is going to allow you to easily look at your bank account, talk about numbers with confidence, and change your relationship with taxes. More taxes means you're making more money. We're going to show you how to have that experience. Anybody need a money reboot, personally or professionally?
Oh, you're going to say a money ruby. I was like, oh, it's like a gym. That's a really cute metaphor.
A reboot.
If you talk this long, eventually your mouth gets tongue-tied. So this is Erica. I just so appreciate her and how far she has come. In 3 years, she's clawed her way out of so much, hurricanes and all sorts of kinds of
Yes.
trauma and things like that. And now supervising student interns, hiring an amazing employee, bringing on fabulous clinicians, and finding peace, and yes, hitting those numbers, but ultimately having more balance. I really believe this in terms of holistic approach. I want you all, whether you work with us or not, to find that ease and joy.
She actually knows what she likes now.
Yeah.
Like she actually knows what she likes to do and what feels good in her body. When she started 3 years ago, all she knew is she's in this bad business situation, and she didn't know what she was doing wrong. And it turned out she wasn't doing anything wrong. Like she wasn't. And she's been so successful on her own after going through the healing of the trauma from that experience. But it's such a beautiful thing to see her taking a 4-week sabbatical, right? Being able to go and take solo trips and do great things, be fully present for her kids, all of the things that she thought she could never do.
And then we have the Harpers. Yes, we work with business partners and couples and all sorts of it. But when they first came to us, Yolanda was kind of part-time in her practice, and now they have a group practice. And what is so amazing to me is that how they are practicing what they wanted for themselves, for their employees: 4-day work weeks, health and retirement benefits, salary, not this hourly stuff, time off, education stipends. And that's usually unheard of, but we want for you the same things for your employees as well. It's an impact that they're making on their community, not just where they live and serving there, but they're making an impact on the mental health community and raising the bar, which is beautiful.
Yeah. So what about the other 7% of the time when you need some hand-holding and a tutorial that fits your unique situation and needs? 48 weeks a year, your private practice experts and coaches will be available Monday during office hours for you to ask any and all the questions you have. We'll create customized tutorial videos for you, help you read your analytics, make edits for your website, for everything. We'll help you develop scripts to use for clients, employees, or contractors for everyday situations or those extra sticky situations. And yes, we'll tell you when it's time to consult a lawyer or accountant and what questions to ask and what to look for in that person. We've helped thousands of therapists at all stages of practice, and we can help you too.
You can't hear it, but those little scrolly videos are videos that we make those are actual videos of us providing feedback and looking at the analytics, looking at the copy and the website, and answering questions during office hours. And then there's group coaching calls. So if you get a sense of what we're like, this is how we are every day in our life, off camera, and whatever. You can ask other people in here too. Like if you enjoyed today, you can join group coaching with us. Look at those beautiful people in their hearts, where you get laser feedback from us directly about your situation and scenario and your practice journey. So if you're depressed, this helps with the isolation, people pleaser, Pat. You're not going to be surrounded with people who want you to please them. They're going to want you to be unique.
Yeah, you're going to be able to tap back into you. And of course, you get that weekly critiques of your work from our team. Website design, the SEO, your marketing analysis, your email copies, your logos, headshots, landing pages, course outlines, marketing language, marketing plans, administrative letters, scripts for clients, and anything else related to creating your joyful life and practice. I have made feedback on all kinds of things, people's videos, pictures, and also even like their plan, like, hey, here's what I'm looking for my schedule. And we've
even talked like personal schedules too.
Very personal, because it's the whole life, guys.
It's all of it. And then you have access to a community. Some of these community members are in here today. We didn't ask them to be here, and we're just grateful they are here. You get to ask questions, get answers from your peers, as well as our other team members. We have other coaches and support, and they're incredible.
So let's look at what a 12-month program in TAP Plus might look like for you. It kind of has four phases. And so we kind of talk you through that. So first phase is creating that master plan, the timelines and strategies. You're learning to create habits, skills, and structures that really work for you. From day one, but especially over those first 2 months, you're going to get a lot of clarity. You're going to start to take back your schedule immediately and prioritize what really matters for you. Once that plan is put together, then we're going to move, and it's kind of flows into that. Where we really get into phase 2 is when we're fully focused on action. You have the master plan and you know exactly what to do. You don't have to think about what the next step is. It's right there, right? So you're going to feel like you're in control of your life and business and start to see major impactful shifts. Then as these things are shifting, then we start to get into phase 3, where you're learning how to like tweak your master plan in a way that makes sense for you. And we say that word in, for sure, because so many people, we are so taught to overdo our master plans, to like add so many things. And so we're learning how to do that and make tweaks and adjustments and know when we're using trauma to like go in some other direction versus when we're inspired and when something needs to shift. You're getting really confident about how to take that plan and make adjustments to get it even more in flow and focus on what's next. And of course, phase 4 is all about sustaining. Let's integrate the changes to create long-term habits so that you don't need us if you don't want us, that you know how you're doing it. You're feeling like a rock star personally and professionally, but the balanced kind, not the other.
I'll let you share this story actually.
So this was such a great one. As a second,
this is this past week.
Yeah. As a group practice owner who was going through a lot personally, they were really second guessing all their decisions. They were really struggling to hire, and they were struggling, in part because there were other companies who were doing things that were kind of a little bit like, we'll say in the gray, but illegal. And so they're in the place of like trying to figure it all out and feeling a lot of anxiety and needing and wanting, like knowing the vision they had for their business, but starting to wonder whether it was possible. And we really helped them hold the space of that anxiety when they wanted to kind of like, well, maybe I should do this other thing that other people are doing, even though I know that not to be right for me. And we were able to help them hold the space and create a website strategy that allowed them to fill 14 of 20 spots for a new hire within 2 hours. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So this person who was feeling all this anxiety about being able to hire and be able to fill someone up, they were able to attract this person who really wanted to work with them, who wanted to get great training, who wanted to do things the right and ethical way. And now they're gushing about the experience because, oh my gosh, they're like, oh, I know you've got me.
We think it's really important that you know our values so that we're on the same page, because if these don't align with you, and then, yeah, they don't. We really believe in taking personal responsibility. How we are showing up today is our 100%, and we do that. We show up 100%, and we want you to do the same. We are going to ask you to do things that are challenging, but we are your team that makes recommendations, and you make the final decisions. Also, go to next. Yeah. We are pro-community, anti-authority. We are not, you are the expert on your life. We want to build up your intuition and your wisdom, your compass. We're in this together. You have a coach, a team, a community to guide you. And we believe in the power of that activation of your own internal wisdom. And we say this over and over. We don't compete. We stand out. In our community, whatever vision you have, you're going to get there in your own unique way. And we put aside comparison. We're committed to staying positive, trusting the process, moving forward to get that momentum and not worry about what other people are doing. Even in the community, everybody is rooting each other for their own unique journey.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk about the investment. We know that you've been trying to, and these numbers may look different for you, but you've been trying to figure this out for a while, taking time off, playing whack-a-mole with the doctor, doing these unhealthy coping mechanisms. Suddenly you're like, why is my credit card bill like getting so big? I don't understand.
I didn't even do the math properly.
Mastermind, well, yeah. Masterminds and memberships, trying to take these different courses to piece it together, right? Mm-hmm. And, while we're delighted to be offering this to the general public, as we talk about the investment, we just wanted to take a moment to say, we know this isn't a good fit for everyone. We want to really ensure that this is a great match, since we're going to be working together for a whole year. Yeah. So if this is even something you're interested in, you're going to need to apply to the program, and we're going to interview each interested person, right? And if you're a boot camper, we do know you. We've worked with you. Yeah. You will be able to skip that if you like. But for real, like, this is something we want you to think really strongly about. and really explore.
And we only have 20 spots. We're limiting it at this point.
Yeah.
So if you want to coach, like, this is the time. This is it. This is what it is.
And that means too, when we have those conversations with you and get on the phone, we'll be real. We're not trying to just fill spots to fill the spots. We know the spots are going to fill and they're going to fill fast. We want to fill it with the right person where it really meets your needs. And so if, as we're talking, it doesn't feel right, we'll say, hey, I think this would be better. Here'd be a better entry point. This is where to start. There'll be no shaming about that at all. No. We're just here, heartfelt. And we have pretty good intuition about these things too.
Yes. And we trust that, again, because we teach you your intuition.
Yes.
So the investment for 12 months is $850. So that's 12 payments of $850. And then we have payment plans. If you want to do the 12-month monthly, you can, or you can pay in full and then you save $600. And this includes, and this is what we've never done before, this includes instant access to business school boot camp for therapists, which is not currently open. So you will have lifetime access to that program always. Mm-hmm. And you will do a year in TAP.
Yes. So just after starting the program, Sarah said, I am a more confident business owner thanks to TAP. They took all my ideas and plans and created a clear roadmap to help me work towards my goals. Now, everything I do in my practice is done with intention. My business has direction. I'm a more confident business owner thanks to TAP.
So you're going to click this link, and Eden's already posted it. Again, our team members on top of it, and you will apply. If you're a boot camper, you have a different email. Go into the community and boot camp, and you can click to just enroll. But if if
you're a boot camper, go through your email. Don't go through the link on here.
Yeah,
go through your email.
But
special surprise
for TAP Plus, this is the link you'll go to book your call with me or Miranda. We won't both be on the phone. One of us will be. No. We will have a conversation with you.
And if you're invited in, then we'll send you to a secure checkout and you'll be able to choose one of the payment plans and we'll get you all hooked up.
And we didn't even talk about all the bonuses, but we're just going to talk about the basics of what's included. A personal coach twice a month for an entire year, customized roadmap for you to reach your goals, monthly group coaching calls with us, and then weekly office hours, private community with people, optional mastermind groups and co-working sessions. Again, we're not talking about everything that's in here.
And when we say optional, that doesn't mean like paid for, like free, just optional. We can make it part of your plan as just included in the price.
And then an annual marketing retreat. And then of course, lifetime access to boot camp as well. So
holy moly. Kate said, TAP has been the best money I spend on me and my practice month for month after. Sure.
So will this work for me? That's why we want to interview with you and talk to you and really make sure that your goals are aligned with what the program can offer. But we've worked with every stage of practice, gender, age, like all of it. We've seen it all because we have over 1,700 people in boot camp alone. And there's a lot of diversity here.
And we've got 25 years of this, y'all. I think it's also something that we'll explore too, like what's happening with your trauma. Because if you're in a place where your reaction is so strong that you really need someone who can get a key to your house, come in and drag you out. If you're someone who's going to ghost your coach or something like that, that could be really tough. For this kind of program. So we'll help you explore that. If you know that that's where you're at, where it's like even the idea of like showing up to a session where somebody's there for you feels overwhelming, then that may not be the program for you.
What if you want to work with us one-on-one? Then TAP Plus is the way to go. This is where we are doing our coaching. We do weekly office hours and we have monthly Q&A time and then the retreat. And then as well as our boot camp time.
We're everyone's coach in the TAP Plus program. So you will get access to both of us as part of the TAP Plus, really digging in and getting into the back. Like I have access to like probably 90% of the people in our one-to-one coaching program. I have access to their websites. I'm going in and looking at all the things and really helping them get clarity on their next steps and creating those customized videos just for them. Now, this is not just for people who are just getting started. It's okay if you're starting out, But if you've been doing this for a long time, we've worked with people who've been in practice 10, 20, 35, 40 years. We can take you through it, whether you're in a place where you've been in practice for a long time and you're not really enjoying it, and you'd like to enjoy it, whether you're in a place where you're ready for like that next step. Maybe you're looking for retirement. Maybe you want to prep your business for sale. Like maybe you want to expand in a group, like whatever the situation is, we can help. Lissa was so great that we were messaging back and forth about today's training. And they were talking about how they were talking with one of their bootcamp buddies about like how in awe they are day after day, that like they are living their vision. They're living those ideal days over and over and over again. And it just feels crazy to go for. Now, if you own a group practice, we got you. We work with tons of group practices from around the country. This is fantastic. Tabby is one of our group practice owners. She went from a solo practitioner to a group practice and she has amazing therapists and allows her to be really present for those who are hurting in need of healing. And it has just been such a shift. When she came in initially, she was the person working several jobs. She actually didn't think she could like be a group practice owner. And now she actually runs her group practice from a whole nother state. And does that as well, which is great.
If you want to do something other than practice, we do have people who are launching courses, retreats, intensives, out of the box kind of things. And this is just feedback on what it's like to work with one of our coaches.
I love this quote from Laura. I think this is as balanced as my life has ever been. And I can really enjoy all parts of that and more. Right. So there's a business side.
Do we guarantee outcomes? We guarantee that we will walk alongside you, that if you put in the work, we also put in the work, and we will help you pivot. That is what we do guarantee.
Because we don't have the key to your house. We cannot pull you out in front of the Zoom and be like, you will make the change and shift. But if you're showing up, we're going to show up, and that's change happens, period.
And well, where am I? Here we go. Lisa, Beth just shares about how, oh my goodness, I'm not going to use.
Stop touching it. Yes. Despite being in business for 14 years, she never saw herself as a businesswoman. Because of that, she didn't run her practice as a business. And I didn't know what I didn't know. We thought of everything and more. Connie got off all the insurance plans, transitioned to full cash pay, smaller caseload, and built her confidence and satisfaction in private practice.
So if you want to apply, now's the time. And I see some of you saying, well, what's boot camp? And you may be new to us. That is our largest business school for therapists resource. And if this, we know this is for people who have been wanting one-on-one coaching. So it's very different, and we'll be opening boot camp down the road. But for right now, for those 20 people who really feel like this is right for them, here we go. So let's move into the poetry contest winner. We want to thank you, every one of you who submitted to our poetry contest. If you're like, poetry contest, we had a contest where people submitted like what they're feeling, going through right now. It was jaw-dropping, weeping, and there are so many beautiful ones. And this is done simply based on submissions and who is present today. So we didn't
even think to ask people, could we have permission to share them? Like afterwards, we're like, what were we thinking? So people could tell us, but they were absolutely beautiful and amazing. So here is our winner, Joanne Shoho. You are the winner of our poetry contest. You'll be getting the gift card, and we will reach out, or help at Zidini will reach out to connect with you for that.
So now we're going to go into answering questions. No question is off limits. It could be about the training today. It could be about TAP or whichever. So I have my computer over here, so I'm looking to the right. And if you want to stop the screen share, that'd be awesome. Okay. Alicia Hess, I've done most of boot camp and have my ATPs and avatars and decent website, but I can't get to the SEO. It feels so hard and such a big learning curve. Why do you recommend doing the SEO? We don't say you have to do your own SEO, but we want to give you enough information in bootcamp, Alicia, that if you're going to hire someone, that you don't get burned. We want to empower you at least with terminology, basics. And, during bootcamp, you can, or if you join TAP, you can always ask me and Miranda, like, what are my keywords? At least I'm going to hire someone and I need help figuring out my keywords. We have just a simple training. And if you get stuck, we'll help you with figuring it out.
It's the most common place where we see therapists taking advantage of is websites and SEO in particular. So you'll see that even in boot camp, we do have places to outsource it. But I do think there's something lovely about really being able to, like, with confidence, look at when you're outsourcing something and go, oh, that's actually working
for me.
Or like, oh, it's not, I need to have a conversation with them, as opposed to thinking, well, I have someone doing my SEO, I'm paying them $500 a month. The phone's not ringing. It must be that there's something wrong with me. And it may not be that.
Jenna, I'm a boot camper. Will I get a chance to do TAP again later in the future? Yes. If we have openings.
Yes. As long as we have openings, and it's been a little full.
Yeah, it's been a little full, but yes, if there's openings, yes. Antonia, can we get a la carte coaching? I don't want to do anything more about my website, but SEO. That's the thing about our coaching is that we focus on your plan. If you've got your website, but you need this component, we help customize that plan.
If you just want SEO, then go Jessica Tapano at SEO Simplified. That's someone that we trust to work with. Over there. She actually comes in and does SEO training as part of TAP Plus as well. Is a great bonus that we have.
Can I borrow your power? I'm going to die.
Of course.
Literally.
Well, you're not your phone, your MacBook. I'm losing the
power. I'm sorry. Okay, Diane, this is a great question. How does TAP Plus tie in with Bootcamp? Is it advised to start with Bootcamp and then consider TAP Plus as a second step?
So that was honestly our first intention always was to do TAP Plus as the second step. What we're finding right now, because people's trauma is so stirred up, that a lot of people can't do a course solo. And so having somebody to really be there for them, to kind of take them by the arm and say, okay, let's help really customize this for you. Let's work on like the low hanging fruit and create a plan. Let's get your schedule first and foremost. Let's work on what's happening with your activation, is really helping people who otherwise would feel really stuck and overwhelmed. And honestly, that's the kind of thing that happens often in one-to-one coaching. If you go to traditional business coach, they'll just focus on saying, go do these things. And then you go and you come back and they don't do the thing. And then you feel guilt and shame. Actually, that's how Kelly and I met. Is she hired me to help her with her private practice. And most people that had hired me for private practice work, I would give them like homework and I would say, hey, if you finish these things, reach out and let me know. And I will give you more tasks, but I just want to keep it really simple. And then I would meet with them like a month or 2 months later, and they would have done like none of the tasks or like half of a task. And Kelly like emailed me back like 4 days later, okay, I'm done. And I was like, oh, okay, well, cool. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm done. Like she was such an overachiever. But she was also like, well, that was a little part of her trauma response too, just a little bit. No.
That's fine. You can go ahead and share that. No shame in my game.
No shame in the game. So, it was an interesting thing, but we started to look at that. And that is part of how we built Bootcamp, to build a lot of that into it. And normally we feel like that is enough. And so we've always ushered people straight through Bootcamp. But because there are so many people that are overwhelmed that really need that one-to-one support right now, I don't know if we'll feel the same way in 5 years. It may be different, but right now,
it's for now.
We know it's a need.
Yeah, this program has only ever been offered to boot campers, and it's the first time we've opened it up publicly. So, and again, it's out of that embodiment place of really, I don't know if y'all listen to the podcast, but in our podcast, the last 3 episodes is our entire process of how we created this. So if you want to know how we got here, you can listen to that. Okay.
Yeah. And actually Kelly had brought up the idea of offering TAP to people before, not through Bootcamp. And I have been staunchly, and I was the one to bring it up as we were meditating on what was happening and seeing in our thing. I was like, oh gosh, I really feel like
when we wait for that alignment, between the both of us. So some other questions. I'm already a boot camper who's thinking about getting serious. Let's get serious, Tanya.
Yeah. And check your email, because boot campers, you do have a special thing in your email. So go to your email.
Helen, you'll get an email with the link for TAP yes. It's so good to see you here too, by the way, Helen. I feel like we haven't connected in a hot second. So it's really nice. Do you work with therapists in other countries? Yes. We have a nice UK.
We have UK, Australia, Canada, Ireland, Canada, Africa, Germany,
Chile,
Indonesia or Malaysia.
They have it. So
always funny because one of our people has a business in one and lives in the other.
He's like, Kelly, you need to get a map. I'm really terrible.
Well, I always forget which one because I'm bouncing between them. But the biggest thing would be figuring out time zones and making sure that we could accommodate for your one-to-one coach.
So we get on the call and talk.
But we do have people on West Coast and East Coast time zones, and that usually works out to accommodate people.
Is TAP Plus the same as TAP? TAP Plus is for non-boot campers. It includes boot camp. TAP is for boot campers.
Yes.
What program would you recommend for an unlicensed clinician in a private practice setting?
I think it depends what that means. Like, what state are you in particular? What are your goals? What is your licensure schedule? It's often you could do that with boot camp, but if you're in a place where you're like, hey, I'm planning to get licensed in the next 6 months, I really want to get these things taken care of so that when I am licensed, I can hit the ground running, then it might make sense for you to do something like TAP Plus, especially if you're in a place of like, I really do want that one-to-one coaching experience. We invest so much into certifications. Like, therapists will drop 10 grand on a clinical certification, like with some thought, but like less than you might think. But when it comes to like business and like investing in our own health and happiness and investing in something that's going to actually help us take that certification and make it into a viable business, it does feel indulgent. It doesn't feel okay for a lot of therapists.
I know that we are out of time, but we're going to answer everyone's questions. If you need to go, we want to thank you for being here. If you want to stick around, because we are going to answer every single question, we thank you. From the bottom of our heart, even if it's just giving you hope, we've done our job today. Even if it's just having you connect and know you're not alone, we've done our job today. And I feel so much gratitude.
If you do have questions and you have to go, feel free to email help@zennyme.com and Jenny's there and we'll answer all of your questions.
Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Hey. I'd like to hear from some male therapists who have niche to treat men and who have gotten good results from boot camp so I can learn from their experience. Where can I find that? You can go into the member. Well, there's a couple ways. You could type in boot camp men, like specializing in men. You can also search the directory listing in boot camp. And even in our free community, y'all, we have a free directory where y'all can search people near you. But sometimes if people have filled out their profile, the other thing is I would like you to connect with
sometimes our names,
like LA, who is in our video. Oh my gosh, he's going with us. Gary. Gary Brown. Gary Brown's a good place to start. And then just make a post in boot camp and we can start tagging people in there as well.
We have several.
TAP sounds super helpful regarding hand-holding, which is what I need. I haven't finished going through boot camp. Do you think that should be completed first, or could you jump right into TAP? Do not wait to complete boot camp. Boot camp isn't something you complete. It lives with you forever. If you're ready for support, if you're wanting coaching, if you're wanting more time with us, then let's do TAP. We'd love to have you.
For sure. And remember, check your email because we have a special thing for boot campers.
Does this only work make sense if we're already ready to start or have started our own practice?
So we've had people who come into TAP where their intention was, hey, I'm going to open up in the next 6 months and I want a one-to-one coach to help me through it. That absolutely does make sense. If you are in a place where you're like, I actually have no idea if I ever want to become a business owner at all, this would probably be an odd place. I mean, we could probably help you, but I don't know if you would feel like
go through
aligned with the
free
community.
Stuff.
Check out the community, check out the free stuff. But if you're in a place of like, no, I know that I want to start a business. I'm trying to figure out the timeline and I need somebody to like drag me down.
You just want to hug me.
I do. You know what? We normally present well, we haven't presented like in person in like years now because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And when we present in person, we get to be together. But when we're doing things online, we actually usually are on two different computers.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're doing it like this. And it actually, I kind of dig it.
I think I need a floor mat. That's the only difference, but otherwise I'm good. All right. I didn't go get it. All right. So I think that if you are in a place where you know you're a business owner, maybe you're not doing traditional therapy or something like that. That's okay. Thank you. My hamstrings. Thank you. But if you're not sure, you can always get on a call with us and we can sort it out with you in the interview as well. Yeah. For Diane, if we're on the fence and not sure if Bootcamp or Tap Plus would be a better fit, is there an avenue to ask? Yeah, apply. Yeah. Or you can just email. Actually, if you're like, I don't want to get on the phone yet, just email and we can.
Sometimes people are like, oh, that feels awkward. But here's the other part too. If somebody applies for Tap Plus and if Bootcamp is a better option, we're also going to tell you that, right? If you're like, I just don't know, we'll give you an absolute read of saying, here's the deal in that.
Is this the same as Bootcamp or separate? It includes Bootcamp, but what's different about it is ongoing support from me and Miranda. In Bootcamp, you get that just twice a year.
You get that 4 weeks a year versus 48 weeks a year. And you get
coaching,
a one-to-one coach an hour a month, 12 months a year, which is not something that is included in Bootcamp.
Veronica asked, what advice would you give unlicensed therapists in California with joining a remote private practice? Feel it is not the same as in-person or a scam?
Oh, okay. So it really depends on the person. So we know I know someone who is definitely not a scam, who does an amazing virtual private practice. But when it comes to a lot of the tech places, so BetterHelp, Talkspace, there's one that starts with a V, maybe Valiant or something like that. These ones are pretty problematic, and most of those ones actually also won't allow you to do that because you're pre-licensed.
You have to be an employee.
You have to be an employee. So number one, make sure that you're a W-2 employee. To find out like who else is working there in particular. If you are like if anybody wants referrals to a great eating disorder place that you can do virtual work with, like that comes with amazing supervision and what have you, I can provide that. That's actually something we're developing inside of our community, is because our boot campers are excellent employers and like good people, that we're creating a job listing board just for them in our free happy practice community, so that people who are looking for like, where can I find trusted employers that are actually like doing the work to make sure that, you know, this really works, we're putting that together.
Joanne asked, do you go over the steps for starting a private practice from scratch? Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning. And even for people that are established, right? Maybe they've been in business for 5, 10, 15, 35 years. There may have been some steps that you didn't know about when you started. There may have been some steps that you skipped. There may be some steps that you did in a way that actually isn't serving you. So there will be a certain amount of like exploration of where the sticky points are. And we'll be really encouraging to make sure, like a silly but very common one is most therapists don't have anything in their informed consent about how much they need to be paid if they're called into court. All we do is say, I don't go into court, right? But that actually doesn't stop us from being subpoenaed. We can still be subpoenaed. So now we've been subpoenaed, they can subpoena us, and now we have to go for free and lose a whole day of work in private practice. But if we say, hey, court is not my thing, but also if you subpoena me, it's going to cost you my day rate because I'm going to have to cancel a whole day of clients. Here's the deal. Then, hey, that will help keep people from actually subpoenaing you. when they try to subpoena you and you send over your, hey, by the way, you signed for this. Like those kinds of things can make a huge difference in a solo or group practice. So all these little pieces that we'll make sure are shored up.
Will you have rolling admissions, or do the 20 slots start in January and the next opportunity to apply would be the following year?
So this is our first time offering this to non-boot campers. So we will have rolling enrollments for boot campers as we have space available. Whether we continue to offer this to the public we're going to see what happens with that and see how we feel. And also we want to always make sure that we have enough space for our boot campers. They do get our priority for good or for bad. They do get priority in terms of TAP enrollment.
And just so you know, like if you join, we will be getting ongoing feedback, integrating that feedback. The program is what it is today because of our beta groups, because of the feedback of our clients, and we continue to refine and improve upon it. So
and we know bringing in non-boot campers, there will be some other places where people are like, oh, this feels weird because I didn't know about this. Like, so we'll be figuring out that onboarding process. We also already know that in this next year, we already have people that were in the pike being trained as coaches, and then we'll be hiring additional coaches to train as well. So there's a whole process to make sure we're offering this at a really sustainable level.
So thank you all for being here today. I had a great time. I feel so fortunate to have been able to connect with you, to share this that we've been working on, of like, this feels so important. How do we do it in a way that's still light and doesn't open us up to feeling too raw, but giving us hope. And I'm hoping that you feel that from us, that you walk away with some hope and energy.
I'd love to hear for those of you who are still here, what was your takeaway?
Yeah.
If you can share it in the chat, like what is the one thing that is your takeaway, or the one thing you're going to shift and change based on what you heard and experienced today? That would really help us, as this is the first time we've done this iteration of this training before. So we would absolutely love your unfiltered feedback about that. It's so appreciated.
Tapping. Awesome, Beth. I love that. Woo! That's great. I'm glad that was helpful. Mentally prepared to get into TAP at some point. I'm definitely someone who learns better with hand holding. Taking some brave leaps. That's awesome. The tapping was helpful. I'm so glad, because we talked a lot about like, what are some things we could do? And Miranda landed on that one.
Yeah. As a woman of color psychologist, I loved your frame of building security and safety. Yes.
I'm so glad, Marina.
Oh, sorry. That was to host and panel. Sorry, Marina. I try not to read those ones out loud or say who they are.
It's okay to need hand holding, and I can figure out how to get that. Yes.
Burnout, how it shows up in 4 main ways. Yes. I was feeling so hopeless and motivated.
I'm probably not motivated.
But now I know I can make changes and take a deep breath. Tying the support to healing our trauma. Yes. Yeah. No more applying for other jobs, escape hatch, and need to focus on building. Yes. Everything's so happy.
Good.
Acknowledgement of our own trauma is so helpful. Yes. You all deserve it. Okay. So again, thank you all for being here. Keep sharing. Yes. Affirming our profession and collective challenges. Yes. Acknowledgement of our own trauma is so helpful.
Yeah.
We are not alone. 3,000 people signing up for this one seminar. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And it's going to keep moving out there in the world. I'll also say for those last people that are here, if you are connected with us on Facebook, and if this was helpful for you,
share it. We live stream this on our Facebook page and on our other part. We want to get the message out to therapists. Like, honestly, it's so important. And you can see it in Facebook groups. You can see it in the way people are talking to each other and about one another and what have you. It's time for some systemic change, and people need some heart. They need to know what's happening in their body, because until you know, right? Yeah. Until you know, you don't know. Yeah.
All right.
Much love to you. Thank you.